What a round, what a fight this has been.
Fight of the night, fight of the year.
You have witnessed history here tonight.
Seriously, who's going to stop him?
It's hammer time. We're back for the ultimate look at the world of kickboxing. It doesn't matter if it happens here or around the globe, we've got it covered. Our man with his finger and fist on the pulse, the hammer, Mark Castanini. These winter, colder months generate plenty of heat in the local scene.
Well, that's right, Andy. The weather may be cold, but the gyms are getting hot with so many fighters preparing for battles all over the country and indeed overseas with the big Glory event coming up. Of course, we spoke to Steve McKinnon last week, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him go well in that event.
Yeah, a huge showing for Steve McKinnon later this month in the Big Apple. A huge show ahead. The next half hour is absolutely stacked. Bangin' Benny Edwards, the big boy, the king of Canberra. He joins us in the studio. We've got a profile picture on the three-time world champion Andy House and fight tips with the hammer return. What are we looking at in fight tips this week, big boy?
The fight tips, I think, is a catch and counter from memory. So
integral part of the modern day game.
Yeah, definitely. For the uninitiated, the catch and counter is when one fighter kicks, the other fighter will trap the leg and then execute a counter move, which ultimately is aimed at putting his opponent on the canvas, and the judges' scorecards, they go straight up in favour of the lad that executed the takedown.
No exhibitions here in the studio. We'll check out the hammer fight tips a little bit later. Aaron TS2 Lee was the headline act last Saturday, but there is plenty happening around the country over the next couple of weeks, and J&I Promotions. 96 shows, 20 celebrated years of promoting. They're doing a heap of things right.
Of course, Johnny Ionu from J&I Promotions, he will tell you that he has promoted more shows than anyone else with a lot of pride, and he's been at the game for a long time. And of course, Regis and Reese Saliba is going to be a great fight on that show.
That is June 14. It is risky business. Regis, the hometown boy here, and a young man going places.
Oh, look, Regis, he brings the show. You know, he brings the action in centre ring. And he's a fighter that is really going places. He's had not so many fights. He hasn't had a heap of fights, but so much training and so much ability and so much skill. That's Regis there with the red shorts on.
Physically put together and the body perfect for his weight.
Yeah, and he's opened a new gym in Sydney, so he's motivated in training his fighters, in training himself, in growing his business. He's doing it all, Regis, and bringing some great results.
Yeah, the young Brazilian, but he's up against an even younger man in Reese Saliba. In Thailand recently, honing skills and taking it ultra serious.
Yeah, he definitely has taken this fight seriously. He's been at the elite boxing camp in Thailand, training with none other than Nugget McNaught. So Nugget's been helping Reese out. It can be good and bad because there's Reese there with the grey shorts, just pushing forward on his Thai opponent. As I said, it can be good and bad for Reese training in Thailand. I have mixed feelings about it, Andy, because I think sometimes fighters come back and they're too Thai style, as in the Thai style of fighting is very slow, very cerebral in the early rounds, and they don't really generate enough momentum to get scores early in the fight, which ultimately can do them hard if it's a really close fight. So hopefully Reese comes back and he's not too Thai style, because against Regis is a fast starter. He'll come out bombing, and he could well overwhelm, Saliba.
Interesting point, because Thailand, obviously the traditional base, the homeland. But the training and the fighting, very different, Thailand to Australia. In fact, Thailand to anywhere in the rest of the world.
And you know why? And a lot of people get confused with this point. The reason why is because in Thailand they bet on the fights. It's a betting sport. So they take it easy in the early rounds to preserve their body, sure, but also to bring the odds up. So they play the odds. So in Thailand, because of the betting, it's a different structure. You know, and the Aussies will come here and they'll start to fight like Thais, and it's like, it's game on here from round one, get the points on the scorecard.
Now, Rumble in the Jungle on late June here in Melbourne. Massey back centre ring up against Jason Sherry.
Well, a mouth-watering matchup, that one.
Absolutely.
And, it'll be in Melbourne, of course, at Tabcorp Park, and I think it's on the 29th of June. And Massey, a left-handed fighter, a big bomber. You know, he leaves nothing in the ring. He just goes at it from the opening bell. You have a look at Massey there with the silver shorts on, unloading on his opponent, Eric Diamondstein, I believe, on the actually on the Tarek Solak event, the A1 event. So Massey was on fire that night and took it out.
Big night for Massey, wasn't it?
Oh,
I mean,
massive, you know, and such a humble guy with a great story. You know, he come to Australia some years ago, you know, with some. You know, some family issues that brought him here from, you know, war-torn country. He came here and he's gone to another level in the sport, Massey.
And domestically, not a lot of southpaws in Aussie kickboxing, and that's something that Massey has, I think, to his advantage.
Well, and the power. It's not only the fact that he's a lefty, but he's a lefty that hits with irons in his hands is just unbelievable.
Jason Sherry, we've seen him on Fox Sports so many times before. The Bernardo fight, a gem and one that will live with a lot of us for a long, long time. Yeah,
well, here we see Sherry in the red shorts, and he's just unloading on Michael Bernardo.
This was just an astonishing fight.
We called this one, and it was one of the best fights of all time that we've called this one.
I woke up with a concussion.
But Sherry's had almost twice as many fights as Massey Nerastani, but he's had a long layoff. I think he's fought 3 times in 3 years, so that's not being active, let's face it. So his real challenge is going to be getting his groove back, fighting ring rust, and I think, you know, this fight is really going to be a make or break for Jason Sherry. You know, talking to his trainer, Jason Lappin, he said, look, really, if Jason doesn't do well in this one, it may be time to just focus on his business.
Commonwealth title, Hammer.
Well, it is. You know, the whole title thing for me, I can take him or leave him, to be honest with you. There's that many titles and champions and stuff around. I'd rather just see a good fight, and this is a good fight. So,
absolutely good fights too on Warriors Way. 2 eliminators, a 4-man and a 4-woman eliminator, and an Australian-New Zealand main event as well. Yeah,
well, of course, Warriors Way, it's one of the local shows with showcasing a lot of the up-and-comers. It's going to be a 4-man tournament, which is obviously there's 4 men, 1 winner, and a 4-woman tournament. So the 1 winner as well. So they eliminate each other. King and Queen of Muay Thai, and of course the main event featured Chris Harrington, the Butcher. He's had a good winning streak of 14 fights. He's going to be taking on a tough Kiwi opponent, so that's going to be a good one. And of course, something special on that show as well.
Always is, the Ring Card Girls.
Well, something different, just to entertain the crowd. The Ring Card Girl competition. The Ring Card Girls are going to be vying for a trip away, and some good prizes there, so something a little bit different. All that Warriors Way.
Absolutely. One guy that has dominated eliminators over the years and also single main events is the focus of our fighter profile this week. He is a 3-time world champion with the ISKA and also the WMC. He is Brit Andy Howson.
Hi, my name's Andrew Howson. I'm from Leeds in the United Kingdom and I'm a Muay Thai fighter. My fight record is 79 fights, 60 wins, 10 losses, with about 25 knockouts. I'm the ISKA, WMC and ICO World Champion. I'm known as the Punisher, I'm the Lord of War back home, that's my nickname. I like to have a fight.
Sometimes words can't describe what people go through to fight for a world title. Today has been no exception. I always said that this kid deserves a world title. Now you understand why. I really can't put to words that fight. It was absolutely incredible. What are you made of?
His main strength is his main weakness. He loves the war, he loves the fight. We were shouting at him, score points. He was just going for the battle and going for the war and going for the elbow and trying to knock him out. When all he needed to do was sit back and score points with his kicks. I've cornered for hundreds and hundreds of fighters now, and I've had many people win titles, but I have never seen bottle and heart like that before. I've never seen a fight like that. That was amazing. And whilst he wasn't doing as he was told, the way he dug deep and the way he was fighting just on his guts in that last round was unbelievable.
I've been training for 16 years now at Bad Company in Leeds. Before that I'd trained a bit of boxing, kickboxing and quite a lot of judo, but nothing really got me going about that. I then went on to playing rugby. One of the boys that I was working with at the time was was training to get in the Marines and getting fit and was training at Bad Company with Regis. And he just said to me, why don't you come down one night? And 16 years later, I'm one of the main fighters and one of the main coaches there now. So going down that one night's made a big difference to me, and it's changed my career. When I was playing rugby, I was playing quite high level. In rugby, there's not really any mental preparation needed. In a Muay Thai fight, it's 6 to 8 weeks of getting yourself mentally prepared. You've got to be strict and you've got to be strong up here to lose that weight, to get yourself fit, to have the commitment in yourself to go to the gym. It's something that a professional rugby player doesn't have to worry about. They've got all the top physios, all the top people with them, dietists, nutritionists looking after the diet. We don't have any of that. We look after ourselves. It's one person that can look after you, and that's you. And when you're in the ring, it's you and your opponent. There's no one else that can get in there and help you out. It's you against him, and it's up here who's going to win, I guess. I've broke my foot in a fight. I've popped my shoulder. Jordan Watson, who's just recently fought Steve Moxon on the Glory show, and beat Steve. Jordan broke his leg in the first round. He came back from Glory and got put in a pot straight away. His first kick landed on his elbow, never told us. A lot of people that had done that come back to the corner and just chucked it. You know, with all that injuries, you've just got to get over it and just get on with it. As soon as the bell rings, then you can sort yourself out.
What a performance, mate. The first round, I'm sure you were very worried.
Getting put on my backside for the first time in my career scared me to death. I had to put myself together, get back out there, try and hurt him.
Oh, wow! A flying knee taking Andy nearly clean out. And Andy rightfully is just taking an 8 count there. Obviously very worried for you on the first round. You came out there in the second round, you thought, I'm gonna have to turn this around.
I had to change my game plan, step round a bit more. Wasn't really working until halfway through round 2. I started to get my angles and chop that leg a bit. And round 3, when we started working the clinch, I could feel he was quite sneaky with the clinch, but I felt stronger than him.
Disorientating, and look at that, wow! He's nearly spewing up, he is spewing up blood. That is, what a body shot. Wow, what a turnaround. England 1, Thailand 0.
I got the opportunity to meet Andy Housen when I fought in Jamaica. He was working with Liam Harrison in the corner. We formed a good friendship from there. In America, he was fighting on the undercard of Angie and asked me to work his corner. He definitely lives up to his fight name. He comes in, he's very aggressive, he likes to walk forward, and he packs a mean punch for such a little man. There is one person in particular I'd really like to see fight in Australia, and that would be Erin Lee. With my own promotion in the cage and the small gloves, I think that would be a barn burner.
There's a lot of top Australian fighters. For me, there's Erin Lee. I've always watched him fight, but we're the same weight, same fight record, roughly the same age.
They're both very aggressive, they don't step back. So, and with those little gloves on, you can guarantee that there'd definitely be a knockout, so I'd definitely pay good money to that.
If you want to come into Muay Thai and you want to treat it as a career and you want to be successful and get to the top, you have to be 100% certain that that's what you want to do. If your fire goes, you have to stop and just take some time out. If you don't have that fire in your belly anymore, that's when you'll start getting hurt when you fight. For me, personally, the worst thing I ever did was not stop when I thought I should have done and just take some time out. I just didn't take it seriously. Only trained for like maybe 3 weeks max, and he absolutely demolished me. Stopped me in round 4, I think, but ruined my leg. I was working delivery driving. It cost me my job because I couldn't go to work for 6 weeks because he'd shattered my kneecap. Time at physio, I couldn't fight, so it cost me a lot of money, and that's the difference. People don't realise that in Muay Thai, if you don't take it seriously and you get hurt, there's more to lose than just that one fight. If you don't do that hard work in the gym, you're not going to see any results in the ring.
A couple of weeks ago, our fighter profile was Kaylee Reese. It showed the glamour and sophistication of the modern-day fighter. That on Andy House, in complete contrast, it illustrates the brutality perfectly.
Well, they're both a promoter's dream. Of course, Kaylee for her sheer skill, brilliance and beauty, and Andy Housen just for his grunt, and he's going to be a crowd pleaser no matter where he fights. Against Erin Lee, who knows?
What a cracker potentially that is. We'll keep our eyes out for Erin Lee and Andy Housen. A time for a break, time to get our breath here on Hammer Time. After the break, joining us in the studio, banging Benny Edwards.
Guys, we're back in the gym again, and technique of the week this week is catching of the round kick or catching of the body kicks. I'll get Chris to throw a nice power round kick at me, and as he throws it, I step out, step away from the power. You don't want to jam the kick and absorb too much impact through your rib cage. So stepping out, I'm in control now. From here, there are so many options. I need to keep my guard up though, because as soon as his leg is caught, he's going to try and counter-strike me with his hand. So first in, best dressed. Trap the leg, flatten him out, make him concentrate on keeping his vertical base. From here, I'll launch my attacks. The punch, the knee, the old school elbow to the thigh. That's always a cracker, and that's really going to cork that thigh up if I get it on correctly. From here as well, I can then kick him out forward, I can kick him out back and take out that supporting leg, make him meet the canvas nice and quick. The other catch, of course, is to the outside. From here, my arm is still protecting my head, my body, so I've still got a defence here. Again, you don't want to absorb all the power of that switch lead kick, or if you're fighting a southpaw fighter, that's going to be their power kick. So from here, Chris is going to switch up. I trap the kick, absorb a little bit of punishment. From here, I can quickly and easily scoop out and back. Once again, scoop out and back. Now have a look at this one. This is a beauty. Stepping in and across, take him down. That is going to score so well for me on the judges' scorecards. Catch and counter, it's a beauty. I love it, and it does the fighter a lot of good on the judges' scorecards.
One guy who doesn't always use the judges' scorecard because he doesn't need them is our next guest. Bangin' Benny Edwards, the knockout specialist, K1 Oceania champ, K1 World Grand Prix finalist. Great start to the year, successive wins.
Yeah, I've been on a bit of a roll. Had a quiet year last year. I was out for like 6-7 months with a back injury, so I was pretty keen to get back into it. And yeah, it's been a great start to the year. Got 2 in a row. 2 KOs, so I'm happy. Well, sorry, 1 KO, which is a bit different for me, but I'm very happy.
They all sort of fade into one after a while, don't they? Tell me, Ben, obviously your last foray into the ring cage, Combat 8, something different, boxing with 30-second MMA, which is 30-second grappling on the ground if you go there. How did you find that experience?
I really enjoyed it. Obviously, the rules suit me to a T. You don't have to worry about checking, just tiny little gloves. So, yeah, you can just let them go. I got a bit excited in the tiny gloves.
This is you back against the cage here. Your opponent, the American Donnie Lester, big, heavy punching dude. In fact, looked like your older brother, Benny. Mate, you were tested big time, and your character more than anything.
Absolutely. There was a fair bit of pressure on me going into the fight because everyone was just expecting me to walk through this guy.
Yep.
But no one's going to walk through a 130-kilo guy in those little baby MMA gloves. And in the first exchange, he got me right in the eye. I couldn't see. I had no depth perception. That's why I was missing punches by a mile, and I panicked a little bit.
Yep.
I was just looking for the home run, so I was still happy to get the victory under such difficult circumstances.
Under circumstances like that, it's even more rewarding. And the same for you, Hammer, when you're up against adversity as a fighter and you overcome it through your mind more so than what you do with your hands.
Yeah, when you go through experiences like that, you just grow exponentially as a person and as an athlete. And I'm sure there are experiences I'll draw upon.
How are you finding the MMA training? Obviously, it's a different game. You're on your back. You've got to defend off your back, or if you end up in guard, you've got to try and get position, side control, all of those positions on the ground that need to be utilised. And we're having a look at a bit of vision here of you now rolling around and trying some of those skills. How did you find it?
Mate, I loved it. I've been watching MMA longer than I've been watching kickboxing. I used to buy the pirated VCRs from the back of the martial arts shop in the mid-90s. There was no pay-per-view, there was no DVDs, there was no nothing. And I couldn't believe what I was watching. I loved it straight away. So you watch something for 15 years, you're going to pick a few things up, and the wrestling, all that comes very naturally to me.
Now, with the wrestling, you've been doing a lot with Steve Babick, who's the wrestling coach for the Canberra Raiders NRL side.
Yeah, mate, he's excellent. He's my good friend as well, and he's beyond thorough. He was on the iPad for 3 weeks straight, just coming up with a game plan for Donnie, and I wouldn't want to have anyone else in my corner.
The rivalry with you and Paul Solinsky is something you're both probably sick of talking about, but it's the two elite big men in the industry. I think it's refreshing, the fact that you've confronted each other, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. We don't see it a lot in combat sport. We don't see it a lot in boxing. You two are the big guys and you're going at it. You're saying yes to fights.
Yeah, mate, as a person, I don't mind Paul. He's not a bad guy, man. But we do have a very healthy rivalry in the ring.
Yep.
And we've got a real contrast of styles as well. He's the big kicker, I'm the big puncher.
Yep.
So we've had 4 fights, and it's been 4 pretty exciting fights. So we're 2 each. So let's go again. Now,
the last one, Hammer, been awesome with the punches round 1, but the Sting was kicking back.
He was, and you know, he slowly made up ground, and it was a tough fight. And of course, now it sets up for the 5th and potentially final fight, or who knows, what the result is. But of course, Sting has been invited into the Combat 8 as well, and talking to him, he knows that the kicking is his, that's where he's at, that's his strength. So he's not silly to want to trade with you with those small gloves. So I don't think that's going to eventuate. He wants to keep it in the kickboxing or the Muay Thai realm.
Yeah, mate, Paul's his low kicks, he's up there. It's him and Daniel Guido. They're the 2 best leg kickers in the world, mate. He's he's so agile for a big man, and obviously he's the worst time matchup for me, and he's made me pay for it twice.
Do you get conditioned to receiving the Solinsky kicks? I mean, they are so big and they are so fast and powerful.
There's only so much you can do in training.
Yeah.
No.
Let me ask you this, all right? Because obviously we've both been around a long time. Now, conditioning for the lead thigh, for the guys at home, is basically the only way you're going to condition your thighs is by getting them kicked, and 100%. Kicked repeatedly. So is it a factor that your gym or in Canberra, there's no guys big enough to kick you hard enough to worry you? Is that a factor?
Yeah, 100%. I have to go up to Sydney to train with the McKinnon brothers to get any sparring in Australia. I think Paul's the only other guy I could possibly spar, except with the exception of Peter Graham, of course. But when I went to Holland, all the kids that have been doing it since, they were 10 years old, you can kick them in the leg all day and it doesn't even bother them.
Yeah.
So getting that conditioning every day is very beneficial.
Your conditioning, your training, your knockout power. The knockout power, is it natural or is it something that you've worked on throughout?
No, I've had it since day one. I remember hitting a punching bag in my mate's shed. It was tied to the battens holding the roof up, and I'm bashing this thing, and the batten fell off, broke the roof. His dad was thrilled, but at least I knew I had a big shot.
Why weren't you called Ben the Batten Breaker?
Mate, it's better than all the nicknames I got, so I'll take it.
Hammer's got some nicknames that we simply cannot repeat here.
Most of them given to by my exes. And,
God bless them. So the knockout power, it does come naturally. How much of it then is technique? How much of it is just natural?
Well, I think most of it's natural. I've always had a big shot. I put everything into every shot, so sometimes I find my balance a little off. If I miss, I miss big, but if I hit big too, so...
On that very note, the KO is more than just sitting down on your punch and swinging the shoulders. There's a science to it. Let's check out the fight science of the knockout.
Knockout's a result of a direct blow. It happens because of acceleration and deceleration of the brain. You get initial acceleration as you actually hit, and then actually as the head stops spinning or moving, you get a deceleration injury as the brain comes to a halt up against the skull. When the head isn't well protected, so the position is poor, such as the person who's fighting with his chin up, hasn't got his chin down, or if the head is spun rather than held straight at the time of impact, that's when you're most likely to get knocked out. If the blow lands on the tip of the chin or on the cheek and gets a good rotation happening, then you're more likely to get a knockout as a result of that blow. Whereas if you hit someone on the top of the forehead as they're moving in and the chin's down, it's very unlikely that would lead to a knockout. And that's one of the things that I'm looking for as I sit there at ringside, is how much the head moves with each blow. And I usually think there's a rule of about 3 or 4 blows after you start to see head movement in the head that the person's about to get knocked out. There's no evidence really for the concept of the glass jaw. I think some fighters do have bad technique and that leads them to be more prone to being knocked out. But there's many factors involved in being knocked out. Head position, strength of the neck muscles, ability to read the flow of the fight, ability to move the head back to absorb some of the damage as the blow comes at you, ability to keep your guard up, and mental discipline. Some people just don't want to get knocked out, so I think willpower has something to play in this as well, and desperation and determination. These all play a part.
The science of the KO. You've had plenty in your time. Let's go back to a fight from your history. Alistair Overeem, who obviously now huge in the UFC. How do you look back on that?
It was a good experience to go through at the time. I knew they couldn't have chucked me in a deeper pool.
Absolutely.
I knew I was in the deep end, and I sort of went into the fight knowing that I was probably 9 times out of 10 I was going to lose. But going through that experience mentally, before and after that fight, the fighter I am is completely different. That made me mature so much as a fighter, so I'm glad I went through it.
Well, Ben, you've got a lot of stuff on the planning. Hunter Sam, Australian boxing title eliminator coming up in August in Canberra.
Yep.
How's your prep going for that?
I haven't started yet. I've still got a few lingering injuries from my last fight, so I'm just doing a bit of general fitness training. Nothing's fight specific at the moment.
When you do prep for that, will you be sparring with the McKinnons? I know they're an important part of your team now.
The McKinnon brothers in Castle Hill, they've helped me out immensely. I've been training with them for 4 years now, and I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, there's certainly a wealth of experience around the Aussie scene. Plenty on next week's show. A diverse look as well. Kokushin Karate, its relevance and bearing on kickboxing in 2013. The top 5 Aussie ring entrances and all the big events. Plenty to look forward to. Hammer, it's always a pleasure standing alongside you and Benny Edwards. Great to have you in. We look forward to you once again in the studio with us.
Thanks very much.
Hope you've enjoyed the show, the only show on Aussie television dedicated to your sport, kickboxing. Catch you next Wednesday on Hammer Time.